Hey y'all, it's the Hot Action Podcast, and we are back with week 2 of the NFL season. I'm your host, Matt Kerr, and what we're going to do this week is we're going to review what happened in week 1. We're going to talk about my bets, how they went, and then we are going to make our predictions for this week. We're betting everything against the spread, every single game. We are taking our top 5 best bets, and despite crashing out of Survivor last week, I will be putting in a Survivor pick because I managed to buy in to some more Survivor picks. A good friend of mine has some teams left, and I am jumping aboard their currently live teams. Because sadly, I took the, scare quotes, safest pick last week. I took the Bengals. The other teams I discussed, I thought maybe I'll take these ones, but no. Bengals have the largest line, and they're the safest pick. Didn't turn out that way. Turns out they lost to the Patriots in a cowardly fashion, punting in I believe it was the final 2 minutes. Either way, they were down by 6, and they have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, and they're punting the ball away. Hoping not to lose by more. It was truly cowardly, truly disgusting. I lost my Survivor in week 1 because of it. But we are down, but we are not out in that case. But that is the only thing that really went poorly for me last week. We went 4 for 5 in best bets. We went 10-6 against the spread, which means we did pretty good, all things considered. So, now that we've done a bit of recapping that one game, let's recap everything else. All right. So we started the week with Baltimore at Kansas City. I took the points in that one. Turns out Kansas City is a very good football team. They managed to win that one. They looked pretty good doing it. Baltimore was scrappy. Came down to a toe on the line for our guy Isaiah Likely. Easily could have gone Baltimore's way. I don't feel too bad about taking the points there, but ultimately that was an incorrect pick. Green Bay, it was Green Bay at Philadelphia, but technically at Sao Paulo, Brazil. I took Green Bay plus 2.5, like the points in the neutral field. Thought Green Bay looked really good at the end of the last year, and Philadelphia didn't. But it turns out Philadelphia's back, maybe? Tough to say after 1 week. They really did allow quite a bit of explosive passing plays from Green Bay's offense, but ultimately, when the Green Bay would be driving, trying to win the game in the final moments, Jordan Love would be taken down and injured, and Malik Willis would come into the game and absolutely stink up the place. He would do multiple step-ups into the pocket that led to a kind of hilarious-looking sack, and that would be the final play of the game. And Philadelphia would cover. Another incorrect pick for me. It felt after Friday night like I was starting the year off extremely cold and couldn't get anything right, couldn't buy a win. But, we had to wait till Sunday for the wins to start trickling in. Sunday morning, we had Carolina at New Orleans, and New Orleans absolutely took Carolina behind the woodshed, smacked them around, told them, you don't belong in this league. The NFL's for the big boys. I don't mean to overreact to this game, but I'm going to because it was so violently awful on the part of Carolina. Like I said, I don't want to overreact, but it felt like the season was over at halftime. New Orleans, according to the books, isn't supposed to be a world-beating team, and they hung nearly 50 points on Carolina. It wasn't very long before New Orleans was, just throwing deep bombs to receivers, just killed them. And, yeah, like I said, I don't want to fully think that Carolina's, out of the year, but, you got to be on tank watch already after 1 week, which is just brutal for the Panthers fans. Then we had Tennessee at Chicago. I bet against a rookie quarterback. I figured Tennessee would take care of the ball better. Turns out special teams and defense and Chicago taking care of the ball was enough to sneak away with a 7-point victory and cover the spread. Tennessee, Will Levis threw like a boneheaded pick six to finish the game. And I was really upset watching that one. That felt like it should have been mine. But, in my mind, they all should have. So, what does that matter? We're just going to go forward. I think Tennessee's defense looked good. I think if Will Levis can, not do incredibly boneheaded plays, I think they have a chance to win some games this year. I don't think they're going to be particularly competitive, but, step in the right direction. But you got to win some games. That game was there for you. Okay, then we had Houston at Indy, and this game was perfect in terms of taking the home team with the points, 2.5 points, and Houston would win, but only by 2. Perfect 2.5 point spread, win by 0.5 point. You love to see it. You love to see it. We had Arizona at Buffalo. We took Buffalo minus 5.5. Buffalo wins by 6. That's another 0.5 point win for your boy. Buffalo won this game, but they did it in a very unconvincing fashion. They didn't score a lot in the first half, and then they had to really pour it on in the second half. And Arizona's defense is not meant to be very good. Also, Buffalo allowing 28 points against Arizona. We don't really know what Arizona's meant to be like this year. Kyler is starting still for the moment. He's known to get injured because he's a tiny man playing NFL football. So we have to monitor Arizona. I have trouble power ranking Buffalo right now because, I felt like they should have come out and smashed this game, but it felt very kind of all over the place. But Buffalo, under Josh Allen, is known to be kind of a wild team. Like, they don't play normal games. I'm a fan of the Seahawks. I've never watched the Seahawks play a normal game. Buffalo's kind of like that too. But I think Buffalo's the good version of that. So, like I said, we'll monitor this going forward. And then we already talked about New England at Cincinnati. That was brutal. Losing by 6 with 8.5 point spread. That's a 14.5 point loss when you include the spread. Absolutely dastardly. There's nothing more to be said about that. Cincinnati fans remind us that they often start slow. I don't think that's a very good excuse. New England, a lot of people have them to be one of the worst teams in the league. I don't know. I kept saying in all the season previews, where's the talent? This is brutal. Cincinnati should have aspirations of making the playoffs. This is bad. Okay. Next we had Jacksonville at Miami. We took Miami minus 3.5. This time we were on the wrong side of a 0.5 point loss. Miami won the game by 3 points. They kind of at one point they were down 17-3, but then they scored 17 unanswered points. So you love to see that. It took a while to get started, and I think oftentimes in Miami in September, the away team is sitting under very hot sun, and the Miami side is a lot cooler, so the away team gets tired faster. So oftentimes you'll see Miami, how should I put it, remain like with energy. They're still kicking it. They're still cooling it by the end of the game, and the other team's just gassed. And that was unfortunate loss, but I felt pretty good about what Miami did there. So yeah, Miami starts 1-0, and that's good for me because I picked them to make the playoffs. All right, and then we have Minnesota at the Giants, and during last week's analysis, I said I thought this line should be bigger. Why is Minnesota only giving a half point? It felt odd to me. I was like, I'm pretty confident that Minnesota's going to win this one. Slam Minnesota, and bam. The Giants allowed 28 points and only put up 6. I believe they're the only team in the NFL that does not have a touchdown yet. Like I said, I don't want to overreact too much to week 1, but the Giants looked very bad, and another team getting absolutely blown out by a team that is not meant to be particularly good. I think Minnesota is maybe a bit better than the public perception. I like Darnold is not known to be an absolute murderer, but he'll have a lot of weapons, and the O-line is good. So if they can play teams like the Giants, they might be able to shred them. We'll see. Something to monitor going forward. I don't want to get too confident, too lost in the sauce just yet, but it was a good pick. And next up, we have Pittsburgh at Atlanta. I took the points. I figured Pittsburgh's defense would be pretty stifling. That was correct. How should I put it? Kirk Cousins doesn't look like he's fully running at 100%. Atlanta felt like the Atlanta we've been watching for the past couple of years, where the offense feels like it's ready to do something more special than what they're doing. It's really tough to feel like they might still be a quarterback away after everything they did in the offseason. Don't want to overreact. Hopefully they can find their way. There's been a lot of sloppy play in week 1. The teams don't look very well practiced. Maybe we can drill these guys into shape. But yeah, Pittsburgh's defense came out like a house on fire. Hilarious. Oh, was it the case that Pittsburgh did not score any touchdowns either? Was this a 6 field goal game? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But yeah, Atlanta managed to lose to a team that didn't put up a touchdown at home. That is, pretty impressive. So, I'm not going to panic about Atlanta just yet, but that is not a great loss there. Losing outright at home to a team that didn't put a touchdown up, very bad. All right, and then we had Denver at Seattle. Seattle, the score ended 20-26, so Seattle covered by a half point. Again, felt good to be on the right side of that type of thing. Gamblers will know they find themselves on the half-point loss, and it's just brutal. This game was a tale of two halves. Denver came out and made life tough for Seattle. Not so much with their offense, but defense, special teams, they were killing Seattle. Seattle gave up 2 safeties in the first half, which I don't know if I've ever seen before in my life. There might not be 2 safeties, between now and week 8. Outside of this game, we'll see what happens. I would, they're pretty rare. And yeah, Seattle was looking extremely questionable in the first half of this game, but they figured some stuff out in the running game, got their own line working, in a manageable way. It was really, really rough in the first half. And my lack of belief in one Bo Nix feels valid at this point in time. He looked very bad against Seattle. I don't know what to think just yet because on one hand, we have the first game of the Michael McDonald era. On the other hand, we have Seattle was one of the worst defenses in the NFL last year. So what do you think as someone trying to analyze Denver's offense? Were you going up against a good new defense under Michael McDonald or a historically terrible defense based on the last, let's say, 16 games? tough to say. Either way, Seattle got it done. We like the result. It's the result we predicted. Moving forward. Then we had Las Vegas and the LA Chargers at the Chargers. We took the Chargers minus 3.5. They won by 12. That's a dub. I predicted that Harbaugh and Herbo together would be a good combination. We love the combination of a winning coach and a good quarterback. Simple thought process, and it works. I'm going to call this year with the Chargers Harbaugh and Herbo fully loaded. Yeah, because I think they're going to do this a lot this year. I think they're making the playoffs. It's a good time. Good time to be a Chargers fan, which is unusual. We'll see how it goes. Monitor everything. Vegas, I don't know, I feel like anytime they get hopeful, that's when you short this team. They're a team that they'll only give you hope when you're in the depths of despair. And then they'll hurt you again. They're like being in a bad relationship. And then we had Dallas at Cleveland. I was like, yeah, Dallas getting points, sign me up. I think this Cleveland team's going to be hot garbage. Can't stand this. Can't stand the quarterback situation. It's terrible. And they looked as bad as predicted. Deshaun Watson doesn't look right. He hasn't played a good football game in multiple years. The year he took off, I think maybe he's not fully ever recovered from the injuries that had him sitting out. For whatever reason, he's bad. That contract looks absolutely horrible. There's a few teams that are just that should be in pure panic mode, I think. I don't know what you do to fix Cleveland. They're meant to have a really good defense, but Dallas was able to shred them for 33 points. I don't know what you do there. And the last game of the afternoon, we had Washington, Tampa Bay. I took Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's at home against a rookie quarterback, and Baker Mayfield just shreds 4 touchdowns. Washington, maybe a little bit honorable there. They put up 20 points. I don't know what to say. I feel I don't like rookie quarterbacks. I don't think the head coach is good in Washington. It's really funny to analyze these games right next to one another, Dallas and Cleveland and Washington and Tampa Bay, because, Cleveland gave up on Baker Mayfield for Deshaun Watson, and Watson, they paid a huge premium to get Watson. They could have just kept Baker. They drafted Baker. He wanted to play there. And, Deshaun is playing like garbage on the field, off the field. He, is accused of horrible crimes. These accusations are flaring up again. I believe he's being sued for sexual assault and battery again. Say nothing of the on-field performance. That's just awful. Then you got Baker, who they could, like I said, could have had for free, just shredding, doing his thing. He's won more games, put up more touchdowns, more yards. Every conceivable way, this dude is better. Cleveland stays in the headlines because they are incompetent and desperate. All right, moving on. We got the Rams and Detroit. I took the Rams thinking that they were going to come out angry, come out hot because of what happened last year in the playoffs. And turns out Detroit wins 26-20. But maybe you could argue that it was largely because they won a coin toss in overtime. The defenses were gassed. Detroit just came out and handled business in overtime, scored a touchdown, ended the game. I'm not going to complain about overtime rules, but I do think this could have easily gone the other way. Rams looked okay. But I do think Detroit is better. I think Detroit, based on the performance against the Rams, that kind of validates my making the playoffs. I've got a lot of season-long bets on Detroit that, I think they're going to be good. And, not much to say other than Puka Nacua went out. I believe he re-injured his knee. I think he's on the IR now. Not good for the Rams, but I think they will work on that. Another thing to remember about the Rams going forward is they have a lot of injuries on the O-line now and no Puka. And it might be tough for them going forward with old man Stafford behind center. He seems to always be playing a little bit injured, but, dude can sling it. He's a top quarterback in the league. Can't be too mad at what's going on there. I think they'll stay competitive, but I am always monitoring the wheels falling off. But as a Seahawks fan, I can't be truly unbiased on this one. And then, finally, Monday Night Football, we had the Jets at San Francisco 49ers, and I thought to myself, who will I pick? A team that is wildly consistent, dominant on both sides of the ball, well coached, quarterbacked by a young up-and-comer who now has a wildly good resume. Well, I take the Jets, who've just been bad for multiple years, but people still have high hopes for them. Well, I took the consistent and dominant team, and guess what? They smoked them. The Jets managed to score some points late in the game that made the score look closer than it was, but they still, won by 13, covering easily. So, yeah. I don't know what to say other than believe in what you've seen happen already, maybe. I don't know, this 49ers team, I don't like them. I would like nothing more than for them to fail, but until they do, you got to keep betting on them. All right, that is week 1, and week 2, we are now predicting. And we got today's game. We got Buffalo at Miami. Buffalo, enigmatic. Miami, also enigmatic. I feel like during these divisional games, it's good to take points, but this really isn't a lot of points. I'm just going to bet on the thing I mentioned earlier. This Miami Stadium is horrible to play in for the away team. Buffalo, allowed a lot of points to the Cardinals, and they ended up scoring a lot of points, but I believe it power ranked the Arizona Cardinals defense as among the worst in the league. So we're going to take Miami. Hope their defense stands up. Hope Tyreek Hill can do some crazy shit against this Buffalo D that I'm not sure has their poop in a group as of yet this year. I could really go either way on this one, but I have to pick something, so I'm taking Miami. Taking the home team. All right, moving on. We got New Orleans at Dallas. Now, Dallas did great this week. New Orleans did great this week. I feel like this is probably a pretty large line. I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas won, but I would be surprised if they win by 6.5. I don't know. It's tough. I'm going to take New Orleans, again, because I got to take something. Okay. An interesting matchup here. We got Las Vegas at Baltimore. Baltimore is laying 9.5 points. This is a huge line. It's the largest line of the week. I'm still going to take the home team. I do not think Baltimore will be allowing themselves to go 0-2 to start the year. And the thing about Vegas is they allowed a crazy amount of yardage and scoring against a heavy running Chargers team. No one runs the ball better than Baltimore. They got Derrick Henry in there. They got Justice Hill. And by the way, their quarterback, I think, put up over 100 yards running last week. We love Lamar here. We are taking Baltimore. Probably more on that later. All right. Now we've got Washington minus 2.5 at home against the New York Giants. Getting 2.5 on the road. Now, this is a tough one. I don't really believe in either of these teams. Giants looked so bad last week. Washington, at least, put up some points. I have to take someone, so I'm going to take the home team. The Giants got blown out so bad. It's tough, but I will be taking Washington. Now we got the Chargers going into Carolina. Now, a mid-tier team beat Carolina by quite a lot just a week ago, but they were away. I'm just going to take the Chargers. We like a good coach with a good quarterback playing a terrible team with an unknown quantity at head coach, potentially the largest bust of all time at quarterback for Carolina. I saw some statistics this week scrolling through Twitter, and according to these statistics, Bryce Young's current form, his current statistical totals compare unfavorably to both Jamarcus Russell and Zach Wilson, which is just astounding. This is crazy how bad he's been so far. They might have a chance at turning it around. I don't want to say it's over, but give me John Harbaugh and Herbert. That's crazy. Okay, moving on. More 10 a.m. games. We've got the Indianapolis Colts laying 3.5 points at Green Bay. Green Bay is getting 3 points. I think this is because Malik Willis is meant to play at quarterback, and if that's the case, I'm hammering Indy. Willis is bad. I've seen him play a few times. If Love was in, this would be a very easy choice, getting points. As far as I understand, he's not, so we're taking Indy. Even though I love LaFleur, I don't think you can plan around how bad Willis has looked so far. I could eat my words on that. Moving on. Then we got San Francisco laying 5.5 at Minnesota. Minnesota looked pretty good this week, but I don't think they'll look the same against this San Fran defense. I don't know that Minnesota's going to have the answers here. We're taking San Fran. Yeah, I'm confident in that. Then we got Cleveland on the road at Jacksonville. Boom, Jacksonville, no problem. I think Cleveland, bad performance. Bad teams don't travel well. This is it seems clear to me. Jacksonville covered last week, even though they lost. I think what can you do here? But just continue to believe that Cleveland is bad. Can they keep it within 3.5? Maybe. But we'll be taking Jacksonville. Seattle. Up next, we got Seattle minus 3.5 at New England. New England showed signs of life against the Bengals. But Seattle, it's very hard to determine how good they were based on that first game. There were major flaws, glaring flaws, but they did manage to win and cover. They won't be playing a rookie QB this week. I believe Jacoby Brissett will still be playing quarterback for New England. New England getting 3.5 at home. We like home dogs. That being said, if Seattle's defense can play like they did last week, it will be tough for New England to win. I'm going to take Seattle and kind of cringe as I hit it. I'd be like, ugh. Also, I need to bring up, as my fans will know, that for the most part, when I bet on Seattle, you might as well fade them because I am terrible at betting this team. They are my team, and I have an emotional attachment to them. You can basically go Costanza mode on my Seattle picks, and you'll probably make money. And now we've got the Jets -4.5 at Tennessee. Last week I took Tennessee with some points and it didn't work out. Now they're at home. Jets have to go on the road. I have a feeling like there's a chance that given time, the Jets will pull together and look better than they did last week. They were up against one of the best teams in the NFL, I believe. We will be taking the Jets -4.5. I feel like the Jets defense might make this Tennessee offense look incompetent. Aaron Rodgers given more time to get this offense running. I feel like he'll make it work. There was some stuff that happened in the Jets game that gave me some hope. But we'll see. I really we need more data before I start feeling good about what I'm doing here. And then we have Tampa Bay, who killed it last week against Detroit, who they looked all right. I feel like I don't know. I feel like Tampa Bay is not getting the respect that they earned. They made the playoffs last year. Baker Mayfield might not be the best in the world, but he seems to be totally passable. And I'll be taking Tampa +6.5. I like Detroit. I feel like they'll probably win the game, but it's a lot of points. It's a lot of points. All right, and now we've got LA Rams at Arizona. Arizona's giving 1.5 at home, and I'll be taking the Rams on the road, getting 1.5. Seems weird to me that you can get points picking the Rams, so I'm going to do that. Now, here's a line that I just straight up do not understand. Again, we will be taking Pittsburgh -2.5 at Denver. I think, Pittsburgh made Kirk Cousins look pretty incompetent. I just don't see what matchup, defense versus offense, offense versus defense, that Denver is winning here. I think probably Mike Tomlin. I like either of his, not very good quarterbacks over Bo Nix. That's not enough points. That's not enough points. We're taking Pittsburgh -2.5. And Cincinnati +5.5 at Kansas City. We're just going to take Kansas City. If we lose this one, we lose it. Cincinnati looked so bad last week. Kansas City looked good. I don't know what else to say. If Cincinnati might keep it close and win this game, or Cincinnati might keep it close, Cincinnati might win this game. I'm not going to feel too bad about it if it goes the wrong way, but I'm just going to take, my heart says Kansas City. And look, if Cincinnati plays like last week, Kansas City could win this game by 20. Don't know what else to say there. That's it. Now we got Houston at home versus Chicago. We got this year's #1 pick, Caleb Williams, facing off against C.J. Stroud, last year's best pick, one of the greatest rookies of all time. And I think Houston's got a solid offense, solid defense, and Chicago's going to struggle in this game. First road game for Caleb Williams. He's coming off a win. He's probably feeling himself a bit. And yeah, we are going to take Houston there. Seems like a moment where you could easily imagine Caleb Williams, who managed to win a game with, I believe, 98 yards passing. He didn't look great. I feel like if you were just looking at the box score, or if you were just looking at the score, you'd feel pretty good about that performance. But it was like, I don't think, watching that game, I don't really feel like Chicago ever looked like they should win it, but then they did. It was weird. All right. Monday, we've got Atlanta versus Philly. Philly is at home and laying 6.5 points. Atlanta didn't look very good last week. Philadelphia, I think, did. Philly's at home. This is tough because that's a lot of points. I think Kirk will probably keep you close. And I don't know. They why do I always find myself wanting to bet against Philadelphia? I think probably because they were allowing a lot of big explosive passing plays to Green Bay before the end of that game. They did win it. It felt fairly comfortable by the end, but I don't know. Maybe I'm taking the points. Am I doing this? Am I taking the points? Am I taking Atlanta plus 6.5? I think I am. All right, we are submitting this with a tiebreak score of 48. Doesn't really matter to what we're talking about. All right, and then what I am doing for best bets, I am taking Pittsburgh over Denver. I'm taking the LA Rams over Arizona. I'm taking San Francisco over Minnesota. I'm taking Indy over Green Bay. And I am taking the Chargers over Carolina. So that's my best five. Best five bets. And last but not least, like I said, I have bought in on a team that has 3 remaining Survivor bets. 3 remaining Survivor tickets. And we are going mega conviction mode. All 3 on the same team. We're putting 3 tickets on the Baltimore Ravens. And if they lose, I suppose that's just how the cookie crumbles. But when you believe in something, you gotta bet it, and you gotta bet it hard. I don't think that I don't think that the Raiders will travel to Baltimore and do better than they did last week. These Harbaughs know how to coach football. That 9.5 point spread, I could imagine the Raiders covering, but I cannot imagine them winning. Can't even imagine it. I think that's it for this week. Oh, yeah, and like I failed to mention this last week, if I bet something in the pick'em portion of this podcast, that is getting, bet with 1 unit in my Bet365 app. Anything I bet against the spread is also going to be matched with a similar bet on the money line on the same team. And then anything I bet in my best bets, I am doubling up those bets again in the app just to have more action on every week of the NFL. And yeah, that's everything from me. Signing out. This has been the Hot Action Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Kerr. See you next week. Peace.